theory, performance, rhythm, harmony, line and form, acoustics, notation, orchestration, neurology, and perception. These are the keys to understanding music. Hello, and welcome to Understanding Music. Music can be written in many keys, and in the last video we saw that there are 15 real key signatures. 7 of them use flats, 7 of them use sharps, and 1 doesn't use either. As the Renaissance composers were discovering the keys, most of the music that they wrote in those days are in the keys of what we would now call C major and F major, and a little bit of instrumental music in the key of G and B flat, and that was pretty much it. If we compare that to the circle of fifths, they are the keys that are on the top of the circle. As instrumental music flourished, and composers started using a technique called modulation, where you write in one key and then you change the key in the middle of the piece for dramatic effect, eventually composers started writing in all the different keys. In the last video, we looked at how these keys were discovered and constructed, and in this video, we're going to begin to look at the more practical elements of using a key. First thing we want to look at is a symbol called a key signature. To let a musician know what key they're playing in, we use a symbol called a key signature. A key signature is a grouping of sharps or flats that you'll find right after the clef. If there is no grouping of sharps or flats, that means that's the key that doesn't have any sharps or flats, which would be C major or A minor. The way we interpret these symbols is they are telling us which notes in this piece of music need to be raised or lowered with an accidental. For example, if we have a key signature that has 2 sharps, the notes F sharp and C sharp, that means in this piece, every time you play an F, instead of playing an F natural, you're going to play an F sharp. Instead of playing a C natural, you'll play a C sharp. And then all the other notes will be natural. So the notes in this key are A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G. If we compare that to the circle of fifths, we see that the key that has 2 sharps is D major. So if we put them in order starting on D, the notes of this key, if it's a major key, would be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. This key signature could also represent B minor, which would be the relative minor of D major, the key that starts on the law of D. If we have a key signature that has 3 flats, those 3 flats are B flat, E flat, and A flat. That means this piece of music, anytime you play a B, you're going to play a B flat. Same with the E, you'll play an E flat. Every time you see an A, no matter where it is on the staff, you'll play an A flat. And all the other notes will be naturals. If we compare this to the circle of fifths, we see that the major key with 3 flats is E flat major. So if we put it in the proper order, the notes of this key would be E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, and E flat. Again, if we went to the note La in E flat major, that's the note C. So this is also the key signature for the scale of C minor. The shape of a key signature follows a distinctive pattern, and all the keys that use sharps are based on the shape of the key that uses all 7, the key of C sharp major. If we learn the placement of the sharps in this key signature, then we know the shapes for all of them. The first major key to need a sharp is G major, and the note with the sharp is the F. We draw the sharp on the topmost line in the clef, that is the note F. In the treble clef, that's the very top line. In the bass clef, it is the second line from the top. From this point on, the shape is consistent for all the clefs. We go down a fourth to C sharp, and this is the shape that represents the key with 2 sharps, the key of D major. Then we go up a fifth for the G sharp. These 3 sharps represent the key of A major. The next 2 sharps in the shape go down in fourths. First to the D sharp for E major, and then to the A sharp for B major. And then the last 2 sharps go back to up and down again. Up a fifth to the E sharp for F sharp major, and then lastly down a fourth for the B sharp, which we only have in C sharp major. The shape and the pattern of the notes used in the bass clef is exactly the same, as only down 1 line from where it is in the treble clef. For the key signatures that use flats, the pattern is even simpler. If we look at the key signature of C flat major, the key with all 7 flats, we see that the shape is up, down, up, down, up, down. The key with 1 flat is F major, or D minor, and in the treble clef, the flat goes on the middle line, the note B. The next flat is drawn up a fourth at the note E flat. The key with 2 flats is B flat major. For the third flat, we go down a fifth to A flat. 3 flats is the key signature of E flat major. The fourth flat goes up a fourth to D flat. The key with 4 flats is A flat major. The fifth flat then goes down a fifth to G flat for the key of D flat major. The next flat goes up a fourth to C flat for the key of G flat major, and the last flat again goes down a fifth to the note F flat, which we only need for the key of C flat major. Now, it is good enough just to write the notes and put accidentals in front of them as necessary, but if you're in a particular key, we want to use a key signature to let the musicians know what the tonic is. It changes the way they play, and it also greatly simplifies the reading and the writing process. For example, we have a passage that has a whole bunch of sharps. It's hard to tell what note is what related to anything else other than what notes to play. If we use a key signature, then all the notes that are in the key, all their accidentals have disappeared. So the one note that is being changed in this musical phrase, that stands out immediately. When a musician looks at a piece of music, there are a number of ways that they can tell what key they're in. First of all is to look at the shape of the key signature, and the easy thing to do is memorize these shapes. There's only 15 of them. Start with C major and the one with 1 sharp and the 1 flat, and then next week work on the next 2, and within a month or 2 you can memorize all the notes that are in the key signatures. But until you do that, we can use the circle of fifths. It's a handy tool to figure out which keys have how many sharps and flats and which ones they need. But when I was learning music, there were 2 what I call cheat methods for figuring out a key. When you take a look at the key signature that uses sharps, if you will remember from the last video, the very last sharp is the one we raise to make it the note T in that scale. So if you have a key signature that has 4 sharps and the last sharp is the note D sharp, then D sharp is the note T, what's your do note going to be? It's going to be a semitone above, and it's going to be the next letter name. So it's going to be an E of some type, and if we compare it to the piano keyboard, the next note is E natural. So the key of E major has 4 sharps, and its 4th sharp is D sharp. If we take the key that has 6 sharps, and we take a look, and it's like the last note is E sharp, then that means 1 semitone up from E sharp, which is the enharmonic equivalent of F, then the key has to be F sharp, which is 1 semitone higher. For the flat keys, there's really 2. The traditional one is the last flat is the note Fa. So then you'd count down 4 notes, and you also have to remember it's 5 semitones, and then you have to do some math in your head. An easier cheat is the second last flat is the tonic. So if you have a key signature with 4 flats, and the flats are in the order B, E, A, and D, the second last flat is A flat, so you're in the key of A flat. If you have a key that has 6 flats, and it's B, E, A, D, G, C, G flat is the second last flat, so you're in the key of G flat major. If you need to figure out if you're in the minor key, then you figure out what is the law note of G flat, which would be G, A, B, C, D, E. What kind of E? Oh, an E flat. So it's either in G flat major or E flat minor. Now, as far as that goes, it's hard to tell when you first look at the key signature whether you're in a major or the minor key. Probably the simplest thing to do is look at the very last chord of the piece. Most pieces, not always, but they usually end on the 1 chord. So if you have a key signature that has 3 sharps and the very last chord is an A major, that pretty much seals it, you're in A major. If you have 3 sharps and the last chord is F sharp minor, then you're most likely in the key of F sharp minor. If you have 3 sharps and the very last chord is an F major and you see naturals all over it, well then that means that chord isn't in the key, and so they've ended on a chord that isn't the 1 chord. But it's a very lovely chord. So, Music is written in various keys, and we can immediately identify those keys with a shape called a key signature. When you take a look at a piece of music, you see the clef, and that tells you the range of notes. Then you see the key signature, you know which notes are going to have sharps or flats. And then you see the time signature that tells you the basic pulse and feel of the piece. And then you see notes, and the rest of the piece will happen. In the next video, we're going to start to look at what to do with these notes in the various keys, which is write lines, put them together in various combinations. We will analyze 2-note, 3-note combinations, and then eventually start to put them into pieces of music. Until then, stay safe. See you soon.